it is difficult to accept and understand the perceptions of people who are different from you? Why do we think that only our views of the world are valid? Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I want to emphasize, first of all, that the way we are educated has an immediate impact on how we perceive the world, others, and ourselves. I have always had a passion for education. From the moment I went into university, all I wanted to do was learn. I took courses from philosophy, economics, calculus, politics, psychology, French, English. I loved what I learned. But to be honest, I don't think I could remember anything from those classes. But I eventually came to a system through which I truly learned. Before I graduated, I got married. I had to move away from my lectures and my classes, and I was put into a situation that was completely foreign to me. I later realized that this was the best thing that had happened to me. I continued learning through dialogue. Dialogue is a process through which all individuals grow. We internalize concepts and discuss them. We grow because we exchange one another's ideas. Dialogue, a Brazilian educator named Paulo Freire states that through dialogue, teacher of the students and the students of the teacher cease to exist, and a new term emerges. Student-teacher with teacher, a teacher-student with students-teachers. In this process, not one is better than the other. Not one learns more than the other. Not one does not teach the other, nor is anyone self-taught. People teach each other. In my dialogue classes, we were given a reading. And what I first thought the reading to mean was my reality. But once we were able to discuss the ideas of everybody around us, that reality changed. Through dialogue, we realized that reality is a process that undergoes constant transformation. A teacher, through dialogue, does not own information and give it to the student for them to receive passively, but puts information on the table for all to learn from, question, rethink, and analyze. It is interesting to know, and that is what has left a lasting impression on me, that I'm able to internalize and make meaning of the world around us, and that reality is a process of constant transformation. I still may have forgotten some of the aspects of those courses. For example, philosophers' names or the dates of certain movements. But I could find that information in a few minutes with the technology that is readily at the tip of my fingers. But what I could not forget are the internalized meanings that I had made. I did not retain information, but I lived the concepts. Now, in dialogue, the usual structure would be to sit in a circle. In a circle, there is eye contact, communication, and connection. No one has authority over the next, but all are equal. It is interesting to know that most of the world's populations used to study in circles, like the Kutab in the Middle East, and reading circles in the Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. Then colonization took over in the 19th century with the intention to divide and conquer. The sole purpose of colonialism was not only to divide and create national borders, but also to divide the people who lived on those lands. One of the most important agenda of the colonizers was to create the educational system that would teach the people to accept this new reality of European supremacy, to learn the way the Europeans learned, and to think the way the Europeans think, their languages, their culture, and their beliefs. So these beautiful learning circles were destroyed. Communication was severed. What happened was that now the new structure of education was that the student would now face the backside of the person in front of them. And now the isolated student now only faced the front, with the only source of knowledge was coming from a person of authority as a reality. Now that is the base of our current and now conventional educational system, based on the intent to divide and conquer. Even with the best of intentions, teachers now pass on their biases onto students, with little room for students to think on their own and to realize their own thoughts, and even less time for them to care about or have the willingness to consider the thoughts of others. Even when a teacher has the best of intentions and asks students questions, the teacher already has in mind an answer. They tell the student, we want you to think of your own answer, but in reality, the teacher already has the answer in mind and will not accept anything else as correct. So our modern situation promotes dependency, isolation, and mimicry. We need to find now, and this actually resembles, it demonstrates Paulo Freire's notion of the banking education. Banking education, he says, is that students act as depositories in which they are fed impersonal information and they take it as reality. Other people call it transmission teaching. The teacher prepares, transmits, and passes on information on to the students, and they readily accept it. And this creates, and what they are expected to do is actually just to receive, memorize, and repeat. We need to find a new purpose for education. And I think for three main reasons. The first reason is that in the past, education's goal was to pass on information in order for us to create and promote individuals to obtain a career, a job. You go to education, you get a job, and that's just the way the system worked. But now, with the rising number of people who have masters and PhDs, and with the lowering job availability, we are graduating without any promises. The second reason I believe we should change education is because the objective of simply passing on information is no longer sufficient. Now, with the easy access of technology everywhere, we could find the information that we want. And the third reason, the most important reason, I believe, is because we need to promote an environment that creates critical thinking, empathetic, open-minded social beings. And we need to do that by bringing back the circles and introducing dialogue, the dynamics of dialogue into these circles. The reason why I have fallen in love and found the purpose of dialogue is because of my own experiences and my own engagement in my learning process. One of my most life-changing experiences was when I was brought to discuss and engage in dialogue with an individual who was of completely different social and religious practices than my own. On a regular day, I don't think I would have talked to this person. But we were able to find a common ground. And through a common ground, I was able to see through his eyes. I am a Muslim woman who am covered in the West, and he is also a minority. And we were both marginalized from the dominant social culture. So through this common ground, I perceived the way he saw life. I saw the way he saw life. I internalized these perceptions, not necessarily replacing my own. I did not lose my values and my beliefs, but I added on to them. And this is what dialogue is. I want you to just consider the purpose and power of dialogue as an educator, as an individual, as a student, in the classroom or outside. I want you to consider how grand it would be if you would consider other people's perceptions with your own. I believe that everybody has a limitless power to learn and grow and perceive the world. If you could listen to what people say and consider their opinions just as valid as your own, just as real, I want to ask you one question. If you were able to do that, if you considered yourself just one piece of the puzzle, with all you have in you, all of your learning potential, all of the things that you have in your mind, you are one piece of the puzzle. Look at this room, look at the world. You are just one piece with all you have in you. If you were able to consider other people's perspectives just as real as yours, what kind of image of the world would you have? Thank you.